The elephant in the room this week, and I know you're thinking, oh my God, the big, beautiful train wreck. Oh my God, the white South African craziness. Oh my God, the deportation stuff. I think there's something tying it all together. And I think the elephant in the room right now is Donald Trump's mental health. It's easy to talk about Donald Trump being crazy. There was a long period of time when Donald Trump's craziness was more like crazy like a fox. It was more like weird, strange language that was about his branding, that sort of cunning he had about things. But there's a reason why the White House is taking every single transcript from every event for the last 4 months of his presidency off the website. Donnie Mumblefuck has become an embarrassment to them. Trump is out there now when he gets even 2 minutes, goes off on these rambling, discursive, disconnected statements, these gaffes, Biden, stage 9 cancer.
I'm surprised that it wasn't, the public wasn't notified a long time ago, because to get to stage 9, that's a long time.
He's confused Nikki Haley with Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden with Barack Obama. And, this goes back a long way. Remember when the Continental Army took the airports, but Trump's mental difficulties are becoming much more pronounced. I think it's harder and harder to pretend that at his age, with his mileage, with his unbelievably, insanely unhealthy diet and lifestyle, that even though he's 6'4" and 225 pounds, and if you believe that, once again, Dinosaur Island in the Pacific, I have it for sale. If you believe that, we're going to go and I will sell you the T-Rex and Raptor Island. But he's repeating himself. He's done a lot of the stuff you see with people who are starting to have cognitive problems, shorter sentences, weirder stories, looping back over and over and over and again on the same weird obsessions. And he doesn't seem to have that same crispness to his viciousness. He will get pissy and then it'll drift off. He has so much entered into this realm where, as much as I hate the guy, as much as I loathe him in every way, I don't think he's as intimidating a figure as he was even a few months ago. I don't think he plays the same pitch of causing people fear and distress that he did a few months ago. It's sad in some ways. It's kind of weird that Trump's team around him, and I mean all of them, by the way, they're using this. Stephen Miller is using it to run his deportation wankfest fantasy, whatever that fucking dark weirdness is, and running the Department of Justice. Trump's like, go do your thing, pal. Susie Wiles is using it to try to rein in some of the crazy, like just doing it under the surface. He's not hearing about it. He doesn't care. Elon, when he was still around, was trying to use the same thing. He understood it. He saw it. But Trump's mental health is slipping. We have
building the foundation and getting going. We need to do this for America.
Are we doing something about the regulatory in here?
Oh, yes, sir.
Yes, you are, sir.
That's going to be a big factor.
Yes, sir. That issue I just described will be addressed in this EO and many other issues that we don't have time with the president to cover today.
It's we've contemplated just about everything, right?
Well, this, Mr. President, this Energy Dominance Council that you have created is something I haven't seen in 30 years.
The purpose of this executive order is to recenter policymaking around gold standard science, scientific efforts that have followed appropriate scientific methods that don't include those sorts of conflicts of interest, and to ensure that when departments and agencies are relying on scientific studies to promulgate rules, to promulgate regulations, that the science that they're relying on is highly reliable and available to the public.
He did a very good job, didn't he?
He did.
How many people here could have done that? I don't know. I think a lot. Thanks. Good job, Will.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Is that it?
That's all we have for you now, sir.
Do you have any questions for these brilliant people? They are brilliant people, actually.
To insinuate that this president is profiting off of the presidency.
She's funny, too. She's funny also. Because as far as I know, he's the only president I've ever heard of who sells his own Bible and watch.
Jimmy Kimmel mocking Trump press secretary over his apparent crypto grift. Trump holding a dinner last night for the top 220 buyers of his personal name-branded cryptocurrency. I just want to be careful for those of you who don't follow currencies well. These meme coins are not currency as you think it is. Trump speaking to attendees with the presidential seal in front of him. You see it there. Trump also suggesting that he would promote the crypto industry. All this despite his press secretary claiming that Trump was appearing in his personal capacity.
The president is attending it in his personal time. It is not a White House dinner. It's not taking place here at the White House.
Multiple dinner guests telling the Times, quote, they attended the event with the explicit intent of influencing Mr. Trump and U.S. financial regulations, end quote. On average, attendees reportedly bought around $2 million of crypto coin. A top ethics watchdog calling the dinner, quote, one of the most blatant and appalling instances of selling access to the presidency ever. This adding to the laundry list of ethics concerns, including the $400 million Qatari jet, the real estate deals in the Middle East, and a whole lot of other things. Joining me now, Leah Littman, law professor with the University of Michigan, co-host of the Strict Scrutiny podcast and author of the newly released Lawless, How the Supreme Court Runs on Conservative Grievance, Fringe Theories, and Bad Vibes. Leah, great to see you. Thank you for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
I don't know where to start with this. People have given donations to a party or a cause or a presidential library for a long time, and there are real questions about how much of that should be allowed or regulated. But this is the purchasing of something with no intrinsic value, the benefit of which goes directly to the president of the United States and his family corporation. That's just all it is. You know, back when we worried about emoluments and that little getting a hotel room, that was quaint.
Right. No, exactly. He's turned the presidency into an emoluments R Us. The idea that anyone who buys this meme coin now can get access to the free world, the leader of the free world, only it turns out it's not so free. The average cost is about $1.5 million, which is about 500 times the limit of campaign contributions. And so the amount of money it takes to get influence over policy and access to these political officials is just grotesque. And of course, not everyone can afford that. It creates this picture of a government that is for sale, a government not by the people, but a government for people who can actually buy into these insane meme coin dinners.
And we, you know, there's been some estimate from Bloomberg that Donald Trump has doubled his net worth since winning the election. You saw that trip around the Middle East. I mean, picked up something everywhere he went. He almost got a Trump Tower in Damascus, too. But one of the most interesting things is this airplane that he told a story about how it was gifted. It was a free gift. And when you go there and you park your Air Force One next to all these fantastic airplanes, you know, we need something better. Monday night, I'm reading all these reports that none of that turns out to have been true. This was an absolute deliberate effort led by Trump's guy, Steve Witkoff, to get him a new plane.
No, he is just soliciting gifts or grifts, as the case may be. He apparently approached the Qataris for this jet. The jet was a hand-me-down that they were trying to offload. They managed to offload it, you know, onto the president of the United States. He's now asking the leaders of other foreign governments if they have a plane they can offer him, as we all saw in the White House meeting with the president of South Africa. And I think you can really draw a through line from what the Supreme Court has said constitutes corruption to what the president is doing, because what they've said is influence and access over political officials, even when it's purchased, just isn't corrupt. And that's led to them acting like, well, they are entitled to be kept men and just to be lavished with these gifts in largesse.
And did to Harvard yesterday at all legal. And I guess that's to say, is this temporary block likely to become permanent? Is Harvard likely to be able to count on prevailing legally?
I think the answer to that is yes. And you don't just have my word for it. You have the decision today. You're right, Nicole, that it is just a preliminary decision. It's a temporary restraining order, but that's sort of the first step to being vindicated. And having read the complaint, and to be fair to the government, we don't have their side yet, this full written explanation, but the Harvard complaint is incredibly strong, so it's not surprising to me that they got this injunction. Just to make sure people understand, what is the legal claim here? There are really two main ones. One is a procedural claim that there actually are all sorts of procedures that are in writing that the Department of Homeland Security has to follow And Harvard has made a really good case that they haven't followed those procedures. In other words, you don't just get to send a letter that says to, Harvard, you're out. There are all sorts of requirements of notice, of time to cure, of actually setting out the reasons, like specific factual reasons for why you're taking this action. And Harvard points out none of that has happened. They haven't complied with what the Department of Homeland Security on its own website says they are required to do. That's one set of challenges. Then there's a more serious challenge, which is a First Amendment challenge. And this would be one of many, many cases where the courts have struck down what this administration is trying to do on the grounds of the First Amendment. We see that in, just as one example, the law firm cases where unanimously all 4 judges hearing that have said that the administration violated the First Amendment. That, I think, is going to happen again on a permanent way with respect to what is going on here, that there's a violation of the First Amendment, which is academic freedom, viewpoint discrimination, that is taking place here.
I think it's fair to ask, why is Trump being more insane than usual? And have the answer to that at least potentially be he's going through a medical crisis, a mental medical crisis that is stunning, that makes all the chatter about Biden look pedestrian in comparison. Because it becomes very clear that in part what's happening, and I'm not trying to absolve Trump, is that he's got even crazier people behind the shadows puppeting him. Some of the crazy things almost seem like they're hyper-targeted to whatever random MAGA staffer happens to have his ear. Right? Some of it makes sense for, regular Trump insanity, but not all of it. And what I showed you, there were some clips where, and reporters and like Aaron Rupar and stuff were sort of noting that it's at least, it seems like Trump doesn't know what's happening. He doesn't know why he's having these press conferences. He doesn't know what his staff alongside of him are talking about. He doesn't always know who these staff are. And he doesn't even necessarily know what he's signing, why he's signing it, and if he's got more things to sign. Remember, that's the most powerful pen in the world, guys. And remember how he made a big deal about, Biden was signing things and he didn't know what he was signing, and sometimes he used an auto pen, or maybe Biden, was physically there, but there was like somebody guiding his hand on the page. Like all these things that they were saying. And we have a picture of Trump. Yes, he's physically signing the page. That's true. But it's like, are we done here? What are we signing? What's this about? And maybe you could say, he's doing it for the crowd, like because he's doing a press event. But that's not what it looks like. And you've often seen these things where Trump, it's like, how, like, you get a present, your mom bought you a present for Christmas, and your dad, it's from mom and dad, but dad didn't know what it was. And so when you open the present, it's a surprise to him too. Well, it's like when Trump's staff read about these crazy things that they're doing, Trump is sometimes learning it the same moment we are.